I'm interested in your new podcast, Josh. I think this is a great idea. You're basically going to take a hard look at the Trump trials, the big legal news coming up over the next year, which of course I love for many reasons. And you're going to have plenty to keep you busy. So today there is legal news around the Trump trials, and it involves Fani Willis. A couple of things on her. Number one, her alleged lover, Nathan Wade, has settled his divorce proceeding. It's been going on for all this time. You know, the wife obviously was playing some hardball. I think that's why we know what we know about his alleged affair with Fani Willis. And they settled. So he does not have to be cross-examined about this. He was supposed to be testifying today. So, but that's not the end of the road for him, because separately, he has to testify in the case against Trump, because that's where this first came out. Where one of Trump's co-defendants in that RICO case Fani Willis is pursuing against him in Georgia filed a motion seeking to kick Fani off the case, Nathan Wade off the case, saying they're having an affair on the taxpayer's dollar. They're going all over hell and gone together. And this is like, she's benefiting financially off of this prosecution. So he is going to have to testify this Friday. He has to respond to the allegations. And then there's a hearing on February 15th. So mark those days in your calendar. This as just something I think is interesting. It's come out via the Daily Caller. She hired one of those press monitoring firms right before she filed this case against Trump and used $10,000 of the taxpayers' money to keep an eye on her PR and got an updates like the following one from an email from somebody internally, I think this was, talking about the firm Critical Mention and saying, while the numbers can be a bit exaggerated, it says in the last week we've gotten media coverage equivalent to $67 million in advertising. Even half of that value would be staggering. All of this makes her look terrible.
Yeah, so you've got two big things coming up in the Fani Willis case. You mentioned February 15th. That's when you're going to have this hearing where Nathan Wade, among others, will be testifying as to whether Fani Willis is even right to prosecute this case, to try this case against Donald Trump in the first place. That's kind of the million-dollar question right now, because you do have allegations and news bits, like you just said, come up. That case is totally topsy-turvy right now. You know, one thing about Donald Trump, Megyn, that you have to say about him, he really does have the most cartoonish enemies imaginable in the world, doesn't he? I mean, not to jump too quickly here, but, in this defamation case with E. Jean Carroll, this absurd $83.3 million in damages, including a likely unconstitutional verdict of $65 million in punitive damages. This is a total loon bag of a woman who was on TV on CNN, saying how she has dreams about being raped. They basically had to cut her off the air. She has a dog, if I'm not mistaken, that she named after her genitalia. So, Fani Willis and Nathan Wade fit right into that. He does really quite get lucky here. So as of right now, the actual trial date in Georgia is tentatively set all the way for August. People don't realize this. The actual trial start date right now in Georgia, I think, is August 5th. So if these motions and these hearings continue, that's going to only get punted back further. Trump really might get lucky here, because to be honest with you, Megyn, when these 4 criminal prosecutions dropped last year, I was among those who thought that Georgia could be and probably was going to be the most dangerous of the 4, but he might get a huge break here down in Georgia. And then on top of this hearing on February 15th, you also have the Georgia State Senate voted 30-19 last Friday to start a new committee with which they have subpoena power, because they're a legislative body, to investigate Fani Willis as well for misallocation of taxpayer resources along the lines of what you just said, $10,000 for some, cushy cushion of a PR shop. So it's going to get really dicey down there in Georgia. But if you're Trump right now, you're probably smiling in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, you've got the Georgia Senate creating this committee to investigate her, and they can issue subpoenas and demand testimony. And you've got the motion and the hearing on it in open court on that co-defendant who raised this whole thing to begin with. So they're not going to be able to avoid answering the questions about what their relationship is and what they've used taxpayer money for, and whether she's paying him a whole lot more than she's paying at least one of the other special prosecutors, even though the one she's allegedly paying less has all this experience in RICO cases, and Nathan Wade, her alleged lover, has none. All these questions are going to have to be answered. In the meantime, something else interesting in it, Sarah, is the law firm that's representing the Trump co-defendant, Michael Roman, who filed this thing and got this whole thing about Fani started. They have sued Fani Willis's office for alleged failure to disclose records. They filed a lawsuit Monday, per the Daily Caller, alleging that she failed to disclose the public records as required. They demanded that she produce, among other things, according to the Open Records Act, basically the FOIA of Georgia, any contracts between Willis and the state of Georgia and anybody hired to work on the Trump case. So they want to see the contract between her and the special prosecutor she's alleged to be sleeping with and the other two. They want to see it all, as well as analytics produced by that media monitoring company that we just discussed, as well as copies of how money's been spent, basically, by the office. And they refused. According to the lawsuit, her office has refused to provide plaintiff with many of these materials, which are not subject to any exceptions, and they smell a rat. They think the documents they need are being withheld. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, full disclosure, I'm no legal expert, as the two of you are. I'm just a regular old girl. Who tricked Blaze into paying me to run my mouth for a living. But what I will say about this is that, these people have no morals. They have no values. They call out Donald Trump for all of the, oh, he's participating in election fraud. Oh, he's a misogynist. Oh, he cheats on his wife. And they list all of the things that they say that Donald Trump is doing wrong, as if they have any values or morals themselves. And you're seeing this play out with the Fani Willis case. Fani Willis doesn't give a crap about what Donald Trump did. She just wants to be the one who is elevated by the Democrat Party because she wants to be the one to get Trump. She wants to be the one to get that, get that indictment, get that verdict. And so meanwhile, she's going to be a little bit sloppy, I would think, because these people don't have any morals. They don't have any values. We all know she hired her boyfriend because it was her boyfriend. He had absolutely no experience, as you pointed out, Megyn, on RICO cases. He was a personal injury lawyer. We all know that it stinks to high heaven. And so it will be interesting to see how this plays out, because obviously, we can see what's right in front of our noses on this. You don't have to be a legal expert to understand that. But what will be interesting is how it will play out in the judicial system. I don't have much faith. I'd love to get your feedback, but I don't have much faith in the judicial system right now as we see it become so weaponized against the American people, against all of these people who are getting decades in prison, who didn't even show up on January 6th. You put your feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk and have to spend decades of your life in federal prison. You have these pro-life protesters who are, could possibly face up to 11 years in jail for peacefully protesting and praying and singing hymns. And so I don't have that much faith in the judicial system. But what I can tell you is that these people are so corrupt and are so morally broken.
As being exposed.
Yes. It's about
That's
damn
the
time.
beauty. If you're an American over 50, you've weathered challenging times. You've witnessed moments of greatness. And now you may be feeling like you're watching it all fall apart. One organization that's looking out for you is the Association of Mature American Citizens, or AMAC. Have you heard of them? AMAC is basically a non-woke alternative to the AARP, and it's America's leading conservative senior advocacy and benefits organization. They have more than 2 million members, and AMAC listens to their members and voices their members' concerns in Washington. They offer guidance, support, and they address the issues that matter most to you. You can join AMAC today with memberships starting as low as $12 a year. Americans are recognizing that where they spend their dollar matters. Support an organization that supports you. Take action. Visit AMAC, that's AMAC.us/Megyn to choose the right plan for you. AMAC is more than just talk. AMAC gets things done. Visit AMAC.us/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.